Welcome back to another episode of the Yore podcast. I'm pretty sure this is episode 36. 36 straight weeks we've been at it, Meg. Isn't that wild?
Crazy.
Obviously, joining me as always is the beautiful Meg. And how are you?
I'm okay.
Just okay?
It's been an eventful day, but we made it through. We're good.
It is true. It is true. We're not going to get into details of that, but here's a little bit of a potential rough day. But that's why you have 10 of them. If only I was in the journalism world, if you end up losing a finger, you get like $10,000. But I'm not, and my finger is pretty good. If you're wondering, there's a little bit of a spoiler on the live video on the YouTube. If you guys want to check out the socials, check out yourtown.com, though. We do put a lot of effort in there. We put all the episodes on there. We put a little map, which is one of my favorite things. So every time there is a new episode, we put a little pin of where the area is. And this is going to be, I think, a new state. And eventually we got to get to all 50 states. This is a new one. Shout out to Tony from the Dune Network recommended this one. I was talking to him. He's in a fantasy football league and another podcast with me. And I said, hey, I need something because I got to write this stuff because Zach's not back yet, having babies and wrestling and all that stuff. Not wrestling babies, thankfully. And he was like, check this story out. And I checked it out and holy cow, it's got a little bit of everything in it. And while we're doing that, also, speaking of a little bit of everything, check out the Deluxe Edition Network. Podcast of the month is the Deluxe Edition Pod and the Steve in Crypto Show. Check them out, deluxeeditionnetwork.com. So, again, this is a very intriguing tale. If you read the title, you know, but it is the mysterious skeleton of Jeff Davis from Ragersville, Ohio. Pretty excited for this one. I do have to apologize. Last time I was like, let's do the intro now. And I never put the intro music in. So I do apologize. So I'm not going to make any promises that I'm going to run it in case I forget again. But if anything, now's going to be the time I'm going to put it in. And if I didn't put it in, then we're just going to keep rolling through it. So, but obviously, let's set the stage on this one. Okay. Ragersville, it's in Ohio. It's a quaint little town. I know that's a big word with a rich history. It's known kind of being a tight-knit community, at least from what I've read. But this story is going to echo through the ages. Ragersville was platted, that's a fancy word, in 1830 by Conrad Rager, and obviously they named it after him. A post office called Ragersville was established in 1880 and remained in operation until 1955. Today, though, we're gonna talk about a story that the locals don't overly love, but it intrigues a bunch of people that like me that just hear the story for the first time. So I guess we should jump right into who was Jeff Davis, huh?
Splash in.
Okay, and obviously the title is The Skeleton of Jeff Davis, so maybe we should also talk about the skeleton. Let's do it, huh?
Let's do it.
You ready to do some sprinkling on this episode?
Sure.
Oh, I like the...
It is raining out, so...
Okay, let's do the sprinkle.
We're splashing and sprinkling.
I like it. So Jeff Davis never did a good thing in his life. From everything that I've read, kind of was a piece of garbage. He stole, he raped, he assaulted pretty much his entire youth. Didn't like the law, and you'll see exactly, I guess, why. But again, Ragersville, Ohio people, they get what happened to this. So Jefferson Davis, you might not know that name. Not the actual one that has, very good things and did a lot for our country of the United States. But that was his alias that he used, was Jefferson Davis, amongst many. But apparently his real first name was John, and his last name, from anything that I saw on the internet, is one that I'm going to butcher, but I'm going to try it because that's what I do. I love to find names I can't pronounce. So I'm going to go Phone Began.
Phone Began.
Is that what you would say?
Yeah.
It's a doozy. FOANBEIGEN. Could have did the whole YouTube thing and say, hey, how do you pronounce this? I just went for it. But again,
I feel like that's not always correct, though.
True. Very true. But I am not going to be one to correct people. But again, he had a whole bunch of different one, and turns out handwriting was obviously the means to be able to, document things, and a lot of hard handwriting to kind of depict. So that is the best guess that they have for his last name. But isn't that kind of wild that we've evolved so much that the records can't even understand what this guy's name is because it's handwritten? But again, there was even newspaper articles, everything else. Some of them had that same spelling. Some of them added an ER to it. Some of them changed it around. It was an EI. Either way, I'm not gonna be able to pronounce it right, but you get the picture. Regardless, in Ragersville, doesn't matter how they spell it or how they talk about him. His name is Trash, just like himself. So he arrived in the U.S. from Switzerland or Germany. They're not really sure, but it was before the Civil War. And Jeff Davis quickly took up a new name and a life of crime. He was imprisoned in 1868 for 4 years for attempted rape. And apparently he was like, I'm going to be good. Everything's going to be fine. He was released, and he did declare that he would have his vengeance on every single law enforcement that put him in jail. He was released in 1872. Guess what? Went back to jail. And the whole like assault, potential rapes and all this stuff was, just some nasty stuff. Some very young kids were involved and everything, like even 8-year-olds, and it just a sick human being. So they throw him back in jail in 1872. He escapes the jail, but they get him again, and this time, there was a big crowd that ended up getting to the jailhouse. Again, he's angry. He's letting the people know, hey, when I get out, you're going to pay for this. So he's awaiting his hearing. He's back out on jail, waiting for the trial, the hearing, and everything. And, he decides to challenge the crowd that is there. And the people of Ragersville decided to take action in their own hands. Huh. Yeah, this is where it gets wild, even more wild. He was beaten and knocked over the head with a fire poker. Didn't kill him. They then dragged him behind a horse and dragged him through the streets. Also, did not kill him. They then shoot him, allegedly 3 to 5 times. Doesn't kill him.
What?
He continually, throughout all of this, begs for his life. None of that works, so they decide to hang or lynch him from a tree on the outskirts of town. And apparently there was a nickname called Hangtown for Ragersville that stuck for a very long time.
I mean, Ragersville is a pretty good name for everything that's going on.
Isn't it? Hangtown's kind of cool, too. You know what I mean? It's not a bad one, but yeah. So could you imagine? They beat him, struck him in the head with a fire poker, which is ironic. I did write this story before incident. And again, then they drag him through the streets with a horse and buggy and then shoot him and then have to then lynch him on the outskirts of town. Unbelievable.
That's wild.
Yeah. So Jeff Davis, John, whatever his name is, he's finally done. So story's over, right? Nope. Let's talk about his skeleton, because obviously we talked about the skeleton of Jeff Davis in the title. They ended up taking his body and threw it into a sawdust pile. And apparently it was a newspaper. Not really sure. A couple of sources that we will put out there, reported this. And apparently a couple of farmers, their 2 sons, found his body in the sawdust pile when they were going to bring their cows for milking in the morning. And then they dug it out. And then a local doctor wanted to have the body, kept it for himself, put it in his attic, then dumped the body over the county. At some point, though, the body then gets dumped over the county line, and the body just gets moved a little bit. Then his body at some point was buried. Then the body was then taken out of where it was buried by another local doctor, who then boils the meat, what was left, off the bones, then kept the assembled skeleton in his office. Yeah, you think that's weird? Watch this. The doctor then passes away, and then his sons trade it for a box of cigars to a local barkeeper who wanted to hang Jeff Davis in the woods to scare raccoon hunters. The wife vetoes the idea.
Do they know that this is this person this whole time?
Yes, I'm
all of these people?
Yes, pretty sure they know it's the Jeff Davis. So the wife of the person that wants to hang it to scare raccoon hunters vetoes the idea, so the barkeeper then sells the skeleton to a local undertaker, who then hangs it in a closet.
So strange.
Yeah, so Davis is passed from owner to owner for over a century, remaining a well-known local secret. But it wasn't until 1980 that a skeleton then resurfaces publicly in Ragersville, and in the 1990s, it becomes a permanent exhibit in the Historical Society Museum in the basement. Around 2000, there's a woman, Hisrich, I believe, said that a woman from Lorraine called to offer the skeleton of Ragersville's Historical Society. The society then puts it on display, but apparently it was part of a leg that just ended up coming up missing. But then they get a call that, hey, we got a femur. And it ended up getting it from a Dr. Peters' son, and it turns out it was a perfect match. So apparently all of him is now on display in this history museum.
Was Dr. Peters the one that had him?
I was having a hard time finding a lot of the doctors' names in the sources that I had. But I'd have to imagine, yes, Dr. Peters was one that had some. They must have put them in the closet, and then the family randomly finds a leg. I don't know. It's an interesting one, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there he is, just finally put in there in a glass case, bones connected by bits of rusty wire, pieces of wood. You know what's even crazier? They were able to find what they believe is the actual fire poker that they did some damage with them, and that is also in the display.
Wow.
I mean, that sounds like a real life murder mystery that could be put in a book. So we're probably thinking, how did the town kind of react to the discovery, the news, and everything? It had been quiet for so long, but apparently every family that lived in the town just kind of didn't admit to seeing anything. They just, nope, don't know what you're talking about. And it kind of reminded me of, remember there was like the town bully, and the town then takes justice into their own hands back in the day.
Yeah.
Surround them, shoot them, nobody sees anything.
Right.
You know, it just kind of,
I feel like that's happened in a couple stories we've done.
Yeah, it's something that I guess we've kind of been able to uncover of things, and things were much different in the past. And then, so like I said, they just continually aren't going to talk about it. But then there was an interview from somebody from Ragersville that had passed away, I think, in the mid 1980s. The name was Emma Weaver. And apparently it was quoted saying again, and didn't say the newspaper. I wish I had a little bit more information to give some credit, but apparently there was a quote saying, you know, she would always say, we don't talk about that they just didn't talk about the lynching. They didn't talk about the passing over of a skeleton for centuries, just going to one place in business. I mean, what would you walk into a doctor's office and you just see a random skeleton, like not a fake one, like in a science class, like a real skeleton? You going to have that doctor work on you? Or are you going to maybe get a different referral or check into some other options?
Is it a big town?
Ragersville? I don't really know. Let me see here. I'll check out the...
Not that it makes any difference, but...
Yeah. I
feel like that's small town drama.
According to the Google search, looking real quick, it just says Ragersville is an unincorporated community in Tuscarawas County. And I'm wondering if it's not really a place anymore, because remember in 1955 it said that the post office stopped? So I guess I don't know. Ragersville, Ohio. Yeah, I guess it's now just that county that we said in 2020 census said 2,599 people.
So pretty small.
Pretty small, which kind of makes sense, which does kind of fit with the small town year stories that we do here at Your Town. So let's go ahead and throw a quote out there. And I wasn't overly prepared, so I do apologize. And yeah, I'm going to throw this in here. I just Googled someone's, so this could be interesting. I'm trying to read them as I'm talking, but we're going to go with this one. I'm not even going to read it. By Ida B. Wells. The 19th century lynching mobs cut off ears, toes, and fingers, strips of flesh, and distributes portions of the body as souvenirs among the crowd.
Seems fitting.
So that our sources, Wikipedia as always, not a lot from there. Found a lot of great information on this from roadsideamerica.com, atlasobscura.com, and beaconjournal.com. So thank you to all of you guys for the information. That's wild, huh, Meg?
Mhm.
I just something you don't see every day. I mean, unreal. So
Seems like a once in a lifetime story.
right, and hopefully, I guess. I mean, you're not going to see something like that happen these days. But Ragersville, Ohio, that is a wild story. We can't thank you enough. And Tony, thank you for sending that over, that recommendation, and putting this together. And obviously, thank you, Meg, for hanging out and doing this. I really do enjoy doing the old Yorktown with you. So, yeah,
My sprinkles.
love the sprinkles. So, all right, we're going to be back next week with another episode. If there's an episode, a town, a story, or anything crazy you want us to cover, shoot it over. We got all the socials. Check out yourtown.com. Check out the Instagram, the TikTok, anything you want if you want. YouTube. We got the clips going on the YouTube, full episodes. And obviously, if you're just listening to this, just keep listening to it. We greatly appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Have a good rest of your week. Okay, bye.